hopping hand for
Be careful. He's
and Scott Higgins, both of them coked up out of their minds.
Listen to you. He's down in the basement.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
I think we should call this the Acement.
The Acement, yes.
Yeah, what do you think there, huh?
I like that. The Acement Studios.
Excuse me, I'm drinking beer. Hold on a second.
We usually drink bourbon on our end.
Yeah,
when we
right.
do the podcast, so
That's all right.
feel free to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You shoot an 8-ball if you want. We don't care. As long as it's good stories.
And welcome to the Acement, everybody. It's time to go behind the funny. This is Scott Higgins.
And this is Ace Aceto.
And thank you for joining us this week. If you're, especially up here in the Northeast, hope you guys got dug out of the big storm last weekend, okay?
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but Saturday I didn't do much but sip some bourbon and watch some movies.
I was at a dance competition in Springfield, Mass. So stuck in a hotel for 2 days, but it wasn't bad.
No, not too bad. Ace and I we did a gig together on Friday night where we had a blast.
Yeah, we had so much fun. That was crazy.
Yeah, it was.
Listen, if you want to have fun, go to Bow, New Hampshire. Those fuckers know how to have fun.
Let me tell you, I love when we go to these little small town places.
Oh yeah.
You know, and we you know, we're both involved in this company, Funny for Funds, comedy night fundraiser companies, and this was Ace's show that he put on, and they're in their community center in this town that if you blink, you drive through the town,
Yeah.
and it's bring your own snacks.
Bring your own snacks, and they had themes, which is why they were dressed
Right.
in different costumes or whatever.
Right. One table was like a luau table.
Yep. Yeah.
They had grass skirts and everything.
I don't know what that dude with the gold shiny pants was.
that's what I was
don't
just
know
gonna
what
bring
the
up.
theme was at his table, but he made his own theme.
We talk about it all the time that, you know, I don't care how long you're in comedy, you still see things you've never seen before.
Yep.
There was a guy obviously involved with, it was money for youth wrestling.
Yes.
There was a guy involved with the program raising, selling raffle tickets for the show, wearing a cowboy hat, cowboy boots with
Cowboy shirt
a cowboy shirt,
gold fucking lame pants.
as gold
yeah.
can. I'm talking, it looked like gold wrapping paper from Christmas packages.
It's nuts.
It was and he was proud as hell.
Yes, he was.
He was absolutely
proud of those
I
pants.
think all three of us commented on it, and he
loved it. He ate it up.
Yeah,
they were great sports.
They raised a ton of money.
They raised $8,400.
Yeah.
So that was fantastic.
and had a great time. So that was a blast. That was our weekend.
Yep.
But again, thanks for joining us. If you're listening and you want to watch us live every Wednesday night, we go live, so you can follow us on Facebook at Behind the Funny, or go to twitch.tv/drinksjokes, letter N, storytelling. And we have a new bourbon date this week.
Yes, we do. In fact, we have a new bourbon date, and it ties in with our guest.
Absolutely.
So,
I love it.
I'm going to let you, because I've only been in contact with him the past couple of weeks, just, setting up the show, but you've actually worked with him.
Yes.
And I wrote his bio based on some information that I pulled from the internet, but man, this guy is a Renaissance man.
Yes,
if you want to talk about a modern day Renaissance man, I thought I was like the kind of guy that has done everything. This guy has done everything.
Yes.
So
I'll
I'll let you talk about him.
I'll talk about the bourbon, and we'll do the intro at the same time, because
Sounds
it makes
good.
sense.
Yeah.
This week's bourbon is Up and Down Rockin' Bourbon. It's their Colonel Cut, which is a limited edition that they have right now. The Colonel's Cut. It's a barrel-proof straight bourbon whiskey infused with fig, orange, and perfectly blended spices.
It is more than just a bourbon, I will tell you that.
Yeah, it's kind of an old-fashioned in the glass,
and I'm ready for a nap.
This one's a little bit on the stronger side. It's 118 proof, but let me tell you, it's as smooth as can be. It's
so
delicious. Cheers, my friend.
It's like a pre-made old fashioned.
Yes,
it's delicious. It really is.
They have two other bourbons as well. The original Up and Down Rockin' Bourbon, which is delicious, and they have a pumpkin mash. All of them fantastic.
Yeah.
Website is Savor Up, letter N down. So savorupandown.com if you want to check them out. But tonight's guest is the man that that started this bourbon, but the reason I know him is I was lucky enough to work with him back in the day as a comedian.
And that's what we love about him, because he is literally the perfect guest for this podcast. Because what do we do every week? We drink bourbon and talk about comedy. It's awesome.
This is a match made in heaven, right?
Exactly. We've been waiting for this.
We've been building up 5 years for this very moment.
This is the pinnacle right here.
Right here.
We're going off the air after this. No, we're not. No.
He's also been involved in filmmaking. He's listed on IMDb.
Yeah.
Like A said, he's a restaurateur, award-winning restaurateur, and mixologist.
And I'll bet you on his IMDb profile, it doesn't say too bad. Too bad he was on IMDb when he was hot and recognizable and isn't a has-been like mine. Yeah.
Yeah, if you go to Ace Aceto and read the review of his movie Boxed Man, it's too bad he was
too bad this movie never went anywhere and they cast Ace Aceto when he was hot and recognizable. That was fun.
Yeah. So we're very, very excited to have my good friend Justin Michael Morales on the podcast tonight.
What's up, guys?
How are you?
I'm great. I'm nervous because you just billed me as building up to this.
Dude, so all we got to do is talk this fantastic bourbon, and the night is made.
Don't
listen,
worry.
I'm destined to disappoint. So
no, not at all. We won't talk about the comedy that long.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Good. I see that you're still very funny.
Yeah.
We try. Now, flipping back to the comedy. How long did you do comedy for?
I did it. I don't like to say I did comedy because although I was on stage and I told jokes, yeah.
You tried it.
I didn't do what you do. You guys, you work for it and you make it happen. I used to watch you. I used to watch Scott when he was on stage. I was a waiter where he was doing stand up.
Where was this?
Bartender, City Stream Brew House.
Oh, City Stream.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And he was one of those guys you looked at. He was like, he went up and it was so goddamn easy. And it was like, he's the kind of guy where it's like, oh shit, I can do that. That's easy.
Yeah,
he's making people laugh. He's good at it. It's easy. And then you get up there and you freeze and you're like, holy shit, what do I say? I don't even, so watching guys like him is what made me want to even participate. Yeah. But, I did it because I was doing a documentary, and I didn't want to do a documentary about comedians and just not have any fucking clue what it's like to be at. Can I swear? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
yes, you're fine.
Yeah,
you're fine.
Good.
Yeah, you're fine.
So I won't. I'll be mindful. But when I was
no worries. Don't be mindful. We're 3 bourbons in.
Yeah,
don't worry about it, buddy.
Yeah, but I'm on my first one, and you guys are drinking 118 proof. I'm doing 84, but I'll catch up.
Yeah,
I'll catch up.
All right, pussy. Go ahead.
There you go. Now I'm starting to feel comfortable.
I opened it up.
So you opened what?
No, I'm not gonna go there. No.
Okay, but I was on stage purely to kind of get a vibe for what it was like,
Okay.
And I just liked it, and I got along because of restaurant people who we are. The misfit mentality, we're kind of messed up in the head, and
so comics, right?
So are comics. So
Kindred
there was
spirits.
it worked out so well. So I got along so well with these guys that I just started working with them, and guys like I opened up for Nick DiPaolo and his name's escaping me right now, and I love him to death. He's one of my favorite comedians. Arizona Suit.
Oh, Doug Stanhope.
Doug Stanhope.
Yep.
So I went to interview him at Foxwoods just to interview him.
Yeah.
And his Bingo's running around naked in the background. There's a guy laying on a couch, begging for whiskey, and he's in a suit drinking gin, going, want some gin? And I'm like, I'm good for now. And we're talking, we're bullshitting. He goes, hey, why don't you open up for me tonight? Wow. And I'm thinking, like Foxwoods has that, I think it's called Comics.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm like, shit, you only live once. I'm not a comedian, but I have a little 5-minute set that I built for this whole thing. Mm-hmm. And it's Doug Stanhope. I love Doug Stanhope. I'm not going to say no. You have to have balls in front of this guy because he's got the biggest balls in the world.
Absolutely.
I said, okay, I'll do it. So we go down and security comes up and they walk us down. And I'm like, this is fucking really happening. And we walked me down we were in the back room, and he goes, okay, you ready? It's gonna be fun, blah blah. And I go, yeah, I need a shot. So he calls in hospitality. They walk me out through the bar. As soon as they walk me out the door, I'm thinking comics. I'm thinking a stage. It's a Cedar Ballroom, 2,500 people, and I'm like, I need 2 shots now. I don't.
Yeah, right.
This is not what I do. I've done not done this.
I've done it 3 times. Yeah,
I've done it 3 times. So I go. I do a couple shots. I come back. Now the show starts. He pushes me out there. I can't see any. I mean, I've done intimate, like the table. I see you at a table, you and your girlfriend at a table.
You can't see past 2 rows, right?
I can't see past my feet.
Right.
And I just see black. And I'm like, it's almost like you're on acid, and it's like you're in this weird, what's going on? I'm looking at black, and I hear people coughing and stuff like they're ready to, start doing something. Yeah. And I just did it. I said, fuck it. I did my set.
Yep.
I actually did okay, meaning I didn't trip over my words. Not saying that I think I heard some laughs, maybe a couple.
You probably got some laughs, yeah.
And I was super excited. So I walk out. I'm like, Doug, aren't I great? He goes, listen. He's like, you sucked, but at least you went out there. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, at least I didn't see the disappointment.
That's awesome.
At least I couldn't see the disappointment. The next day, don't forget, I'm a bartender. The next day I'm at work. The waitress comes up to me at the bartender. She goes, holy shit. I go, what? She's like, I didn't know you did stand up. I go, what are you talking about? She's like, I was in the audience, and all of a sudden you come out, and I'm like, he's a goddamn bartender where I work. No idea.
Wow.
So I again, I'm not a comedian because I don't craft as well as these guys.
Yeah.
I wish I was.
But you did shows for a little bit of time. So
no, I opened shows. Yeah, I did. But I don't deserve the title. Like a line cook or a chef. I call chef all the time, but as a line cook, I'm a cook. You know what I mean? I can throw together a pasta, but I'm not a chef. So kudos to you guys. You're the chefs.
Well, thanks, man. So let me ask you this. So we'll go back and so where did you grow up? You grew up in Connecticut?
I grew up it's that tough fucking question. It's like, where you're from.
You moved around. Did you move around a lot?
I moved around a lot, but I went to high school in Connecticut and some elementary school. I was born in Connecticut, so I say Connecticut, but I literally lived, all over the place. Yeah, but Connecticut primarily.
And so what made you want to get into the documentary? Because was that the first movie that you did? Because I was looking at your IMDb page, and I know that there was like a movie that you had an idea for that didn't kind of come to fruition. Right. Was that the
story of my life?
Listen, we've all been there, man. Was that the documentary, or was the documentary after? And what made you want to do a documentary on comedians? Was it because you worked at a club, or?
So basically what I found out later in life is I'm left-handed, dyslexic, and feral. I knew the left-handed and feral part, but the dyslexic part I was diagnosed later in life, which I was working on a documentary, which I found out. Not mine, somebody else's, but I was always a movie fan because I couldn't read worth of shit. Yeah. I was not necessarily a dumb kid.
You were a visual learner. Right.
It was just a different back then in the 80s. They didn't do, oh, you learn like this. Right. They were like, hey, you can't read. You're definitely, but they would say, but it's weird. You can't read, but we can have a conversation and you understand what I'm saying. You comprehend. But they never connected the dots, ironically. Yeah. Anyway, I loved stories. I loved storytelling. I loved the concept. So when I'm of the age, probably like you guys, the birth of the VCR. Yeah, renting movies and stuff. So I rented movies every Friday. I went and rented. I fell in love with movies. And at some point, because of guys like Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez, when independent film kind of came out in the 90s, I realized, oh, that's a job. People do that. It's not just like magic. So then I was like, well, it's time for me to start figuring out how to fucking do it and make it happen. And I did. And I was in a couple movies that were at Blockbuster, and we had some movies, Blockbuster existed back then. I'm sure your audience knows who it is because you guys don't talk to the 19-year-olds. I'm sure.
No. But we know Blockbuster. We don't major video before Blockbuster. Yeah.
Our target audience knows what you mean.
Yeah.
Video Galaxy. I mean, Blockbuster.
Video Galaxy. There's a
the VCR popped up from the top.
From the top. Yes. Exactly. It wasn't a front load.
The real classic one. Yeah.
So we're all old fuckers.
You heard the noise,
And actually, the original one was called a VTR, a video tape recorder, not a video
Oh.
cassette recorder.
You
Holy
lived in a
shit.
fancy neighborhood.
Well, I am
Yeah,
53.
wow.
You know.
We're kind of a big deal. Where are you
Yeah.
from? You from New York? I hear New York.
No, I'm from Rhode Island. That's where we're recording from.
I'm
from Rhode
embarrassed.
Island.
It's the Italian.
It's
in
all
me.
right. Hey, forget about it.
It's the Italian.
It's yeah.
You know what? If you're not from New York and you talk like that, you are Italian.
Yeah,
And I should know-
exactly.
I lived in the Bronx for 4 years.
Oh, so
and-
yeah.
And the one thing I learned is, hey, Stugatz, forget about it. Not for nothing, but this fucking guy over here, he does this thing. And you know what I mean? That was from my barber.
Yeah.
He was like,
Right.
He's like,
Hey,
hey,
that
sit down,
guy's
forget
got
about
fucking-
it. Not for nothing.
He's got
I
fucking
love Stugatz.
fazools in his head. He's
Hey,
got
forget
beans
about
in
it.
his head.
Fugazi. You know what I mean? Anyway, so what the fuck were we
So
talking
you
about?
decide. So what we were talking about,
movies.
deciding to make a film. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So you were
so
a
I wanted
film
to make
buff.
movies. I made an independent movie with a couple of guys, and again, sold a blockbuster. You know, we did well. People unfortunately recognized me because I was the lead in the movie, and it's embarrassing now. But you can rent it on Amazon. I mean, that's cool, right? But anyway, when I started making my own films, money wasn't as accessible as it was. It kept getting harder and harder every year to make independent films because the way the world was working was like Netflix was starting to happen and all this other shit. So people weren't giving you $100,000 to make a movie.
Right.
They'd be like, oh, we'll play it for you. And it's like, oh, that's great.
Exactly. Yeah.
What am I gonna do with
Now,
that?
what were you recording on digital or were you
No, we did
recording on
film.
film?
You did
film?
film back then, yeah. Because digital
35 or
then
16?
was 16.
16, yeah.
And we bought split ends. So like what a film company would basically give away, we would buy back and piece together a film. But when I made the documentary, we did digital because you could watch a documentary on digital. You didn't feel like you were getting ripped off, or it was like cheesy. So I had to figure if you're going to watch a documentary, there's got to be a really cool story. It's got to really pull you in. And I I'm a story guy. I love story-driven shit. I love real life, and I just thought of a cool concept, and it worked. It was busting the system. It was about subway musicians in New York City. We took 3 subway musicians from around the country, bust them into New York City, and to see if they could survive. And then I pieced together a couple stories in between there. I found the guy that played you remember the Levi's commercial, the kid that took the bucket and played it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
He's the first guy to ever do it. I found him. His name's Larry Wright. And he didn't have a phone number or anything. And this guy was in movies like Green Card. He was like famous, but he was off the grid.
It never
he's taking
parlayed into
$500.
anything.
What's that?
He never really got parlayed into anything big after that, right?
Except Stomp, which he has no money for.
Oh, wow.
Like shit like that. Like people now, everybody plays the buckets. He was poor. He did it because his mom, their house burnt down, and so he had nothing. So he played fucking buckets, and all of a sudden now everybody's doing it. It's fun. It's cool. He was in a Levi's commercial. He was and you're right. He's got nothing for it.
Wow.
It's crazy, man. Like so I was, things like that are stories that kind of really grabbed me, and I was like, I wanted to tell it.
Yeah.
That is a great story.
It was fun.
That's a really good story. Now, actually, it's funny that you mentioned the Nick DiPaolo thing because he was like one of the big heroes I had when I first started with comedy. And I remember back in the day, Ace's home club that he first started at in the late 80s was a club called Periwinkle's. And I used to go there to watch comedy in Providence. And I didn't have the guts to try it back then, but I would go and constantly watch. And Nick was a host or a feature back at that time.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, he was just kind of starting, getting his feet wet. And I didn't remember his name, but I remembered his jokes and how funny they were.
Yeah.
And then I saw a young comedian special on HBO and he was on and he did those jokes and I learned his name and I just kept following him. And then you had him at City Steam.
Yeah.
And you had me on the show with you and him.
Yeah.
And I still have you recorded it that night because you brought in your camera and everything and recorded it. And you recorded it that night. And I got to meet Nick and everything like that. That was such a great night. And
he's a good dude.
He was a good dude because his style on stage and his podcast. If you watch his podcast or anything, he's a very salty individual.
Yeah,
But actually, off stage, just talking to him, one-on-one and getting to know him, he's actually a really good guy. He really is. You know, that was a lot of fun. Now, if I remember correctly, you were doing that to kind of start the Connecticut Comedy Festival, or try to get a festival going, weren't you?
Yeah, we did get a listen.
Yeah, you did a festival, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. So I did a film festival for 4 years.
That's right. That's
and
right.
then I did a comedy festival, and I'm always doing weird shit, and I got to stop doing that. But
Comedy festival's not weird shit. You just got to stick with it, man.
No,
How
but
many
that's
years
my-
did you do it?
1 year,
Oh, all right.
I had fun, but you know
So
what?
it was the first annual.
Listen, I got some. I'm like a optimist, pessimist at the same time. What I mean by that is and this is true. I always buy a lotto ticket,
Yeah.
but I never look at it. I don't, and it's just because I'm
Right.
like I don't care. Like it's just but I'm always like, oh, maybe I'll win, but then I'm like, it's
Right.
just kind of what I do. It's weird.
Well, you
I don't
said
know.
it at the beginning. You said you're like ADHD, so you
I'm every
probably
goddamn
are like hyper focused on something, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, shiny object over here. Let me go over
Yeah.
here.
The one thing that saved me so far, that's kept my piqued interest, besides the one thing that saved me is bourbon or
Yeah.
whiskey. It really has, because it's really kept me. I like
Focused
whiskey.
on
I
one
like
thing.
whiskey,
Yeah.
and getting old also helps,
Yeah.
because I don't have the
calms you
energy to do
down.
all that other
Yeah.
shit.
It slows you
right.
down a little bit.
A lot.
Gives you a different
lot.
perspective.
I know.
A lot.
Yeah.
But the thing with the comedy festival is we did pull it off. We had some really. It was. I mean, shit, it was a lot of fun. I mean, we had the whole the Stern gang, the Ronnie Munn guy,
Yeah.
Ronnie Munn,
Oh,
and
really?
Julie were all there, and it was a blast. Listen, man, I like mixing it up, and like I said, I love comedians, and the comedy festival was a no brainer. But
So what made you only do that one and done?
oh man, it's so much. All this shit is so much work, because I don't go around begging for money and shit like that. I don't like to do that type of thing.
Yeah.
So
Did you have support system? Like, did you have help with the comedy festival, or was it all you? Because obviously it's easy to burn out on something when you're the only one responsible for kind of, doing it and producing it.
yeah, so I can say it's definitely not all me. Like I always have great support, and the people,
Yeah.
anybody around me has always works awesome, and I love the people that take a chance on me and believe in me, and I'll do anything for them. 100% we work together.
Yeah.
But in real terms, and what I mean by real terms is like those big festivals and shit like that. No, we didn't have. There was really no financing.
Yeah.
It was like it's production value, so it looked
Right.
like, oh my god, it's a big festival. But it's me going. In 1 minute, I'm shaking your hand with a jacket on, doing a hey, how are you? And then I turn around going, I need fucking Jello. I need to get the glass
right.
of beer. And I'm
Yeah.
you're wearing all the hats, and
Right.
you got one head, right? So it's
do you have trouble delegating to people?
I used to.
Yeah.
I'm much better. The gray hair makes me.
The older you
realize
get,
how-
exactly. Yeah. Listen, I'm the same way. It's hard because you have a vision for something.
Yeah.
And if the people that are with you don't have that same vision, or they haven't completely bought into your vision, it's hard to let go of control of certain things, because you're like, are they going to do it the way I envision it? If I delegate this to this person, are they going to do it the way I think it should be done? It's hard.
It is.
It's
Yeah.
hard to do.
Yeah.
Now, when you were doing like the comedy festival, the film festivals, everything like that, you're also working in these restaurants. As like you said, you waited tables for a while, you were a bartender for a while, but then you started running restaurants as well. Did you give up the film festivals and the comedy as you started actually becoming running a restaurateur and running these restaurants?
I'll be honest. As that started happening, the money started changing a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you're opening restaurants, you're satisfying those urges. All the restaurants I started opening were dirt on the floor concept. So I had to. I mean, I was now picking out the glassware. How's the bar going to work?
Right.
What's the menu like? So now I'm getting I'm getting fulfilled creativity wise with shit that I know. I was raised in the restaurant business, so now it's not like I have to learn it. I'm not the FNG anymore.
That's your wheelhouse already.
It's what I know. So now I'm like, okay, I know this shit. Plus now you're coming to me and we're building these restaurants together. And so it did great question, Scott, because it did kind of get me to maneuver from, because you know why? I mean, the film world was not fruitful. It just wasn't. And again, all three of us probably could easily write a show and just sell to Netflix right now, but you're selling it for a high five, I'm sure. I mean, it's like, what's happening right now is you still have to, when you're young, I could sleep on a floor, in a couch, or in a car.
Right.
But now if I'm even in a nice bed, if I fucking move wrong, I'm fucked for a week. So I need some kind of comfort.
Hey, that's half my act. All right.
Comfort. Well, the older you get, you start to really, you seek out that comfort and stability. That's the thing. Stability is the biggest thing. You're not willing to take the same risks as you were when you were in your 20s.
Right.
I'm luckily still a little nuts enough to be like, I think it can happen. But at the same time, I'm also like, okay, I want a nice hotel room, so I'm kind of like, I'm right there now. I'm still like I can make it work now. I'm smart enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm learned enough.
Yes, educated enough, right?
Educated enough, right? So,
good way to word that. Learned enough.
Learned.
Because I'm the same way. I don't ever call myself smart enough, but I'm learned enough.
Right.
Experience has taught me through enough mistakes,
right,
to make the right decisions.
Listen,
now.
I'm the luckiest person in the world that I fucked up as much as I did.
Because you learned from every fuck up.
Right? Because I didn't do it twice.
Yeah.
If I did it twice, I'm a moron.
Right. I mean, I've got a friend. We had him on the podcast a couple of years ago, Darren LaCroix.
Oh yeah.
And he always says, if you're gonna fall forward. This way, when you stand back up, you're one step closer to your goal.
Brilliant. That's a great fucking quote.
Yeah. And he's one of those guys that started as a comedian and was not a great comedian.
Yeah. Became
a public speaker, and now he's living in a mansion, driving around in fucking Mercedes as we're in a basement in Coventry, Rhode Island.
Exactly.
So
and
he's done okay.
And the last time I worked with him, he opened for me in Feeding Hills, Massachusetts.
Yeah, exactly.
And he bombed, and I crushed. And where does he get me? I'm in my fucking basement.
Yeah.
But you know what? There's check me out here on this.
All right.
A smart comedian is no longer probably a comedian, most likely. And what I mean by that is because what it takes to be a comedian, and this is the funny thing. When I talk to people, I can be in line at a grocery store and say hi to somebody, and they're so fucking nervous right off the bat. They're like, holy shit, someone just talked to me.
Right.
What you guys do takes the fucking balls of King Kong. And nobody realizes it because they're not up there.
Right.
And you have to be thoughtful, mindful. You have to be quick. And do it in front of people. I bombed one time. One time I bombed, and I apologized.
I'm so sorry.
But it wasn't even like I didn't go, oh, I should apologize to them. I just was like, I'm so fucking sorry that I'm such an asshole to you guys. But now when I go to my table, like I do table touches, as you do in restaurants, you do table touches. I go to a table that's angry because their fucking burger's medium well instead of medium, which is a hair off, whatever. But I go to a table. I'm not even nervous because I did what you guys did. There's nothing to be nervous about. So this guy,
over and over and over again. Yeah,
you know what? But comedy has swung because in the current climate of things, we walk a tightrope now. Because
is that political, or I'll let you tell me why, because that's
it's kind of all of it. Even if you don't do political humor, there's kind of social things now.
Well, I mean, PC social,
if you touch on certain social things the wrong way, I have several jokes that forever were fine that nowadays you're in a gray area with.
Yeah, you have to be careful.
And you got to be careful doing them. And forever I didn't think anything I did was that bad.
Right.
But I did a show just this past October, one of my theater shows that I produce, and I did an opening 15 minutes, and my daughter brought a couple of her friends, and she's been to a ton of my shows, and she's seen this one joke before. but she is very woke. She's part of that culture, which is fine. That's, she's 28 years old. She can be whatever she wants. But afterwards she goes, that one joke you do? And she says it to me and I go, yeah. She goes, I don't know if I would do that anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? And she goes, well, just because, it might be insulting to that culture. And I'm like, yeah, but the point of the joke is I'm an idiot.
Right. Exactly.
It's nothing. I'm not making fun of them. I'm making fun of me.
Right.
And she goes, yeah, but that could be misconstrued. And I kind of blew it off that day. But the next time I did that joke, that was in my head.
Of course.
And then messed with me so much.
And then you didn't get the response that you normally get, right?
Because I didn't sell it. I didn't do it the same
you
way.
Didn't commit to the joke.
And I've abandoned that joke since then because she's so in my head with
Pussy.
that now. Oh, I absolutely pussied out of it because she messed with my head with that.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking, okay, who in the audience is thinking that this is the wrong thing to do, even though you know
need
it
to
really
litigate.
isn't.
What did we talk about?
Exactly.
You need to litigate. The best comics, guys like Bill Burr, guys like Louis C.K., they say something provocative and then they litigate. Like, no, hear me out. And then they make their point. And by the end of the joke, if you're doing it right, you're like,
you've
okay,
convinced everybody.
He's got a point.
Well, it's not even just doing it right? It's because here's the point. Comedy, sure, the goal is to make people laugh, right? And I'm not
right.
I'm not telling you guys what comedy is, but the point is it's supposed to fuck people up a little bit,
right?
And if you're in an office setting, and if you say some shit that's you got to be really.
But that's not the right setting, exactly.
But you're in a comedy club.
Yep.
There's no. I mean, Lenny Bruce already did this.
Right.
The fact that it's even talked about anymore is fucking insane. Because and listen, I am all for growing because I grew up in the 80s, and in the 80s you said things that you don't say now.
Right.
And the funny thing, the ironic thing is the things that you said were never intended to the people that they really involve.
Right.
It was just a thing you said because you were a dumb kid, but there was never real intention.
Yep.
Now, because of feelings, which everybody has them, but the problem is now everybody is 8 billion fucking people. I mean, so whatever. But
they're hypersensitive.
But only people that have nothing else to do.
Right.
Like if I gave you a rundown, and this isn't just me, this is a million people, but if I gave you a rundown of how fucked up my life was and where I came from, how I got there and all this and that, and the shit that should offend me if I was a normal person. Yeah. You would be like, oh shit, I can't say this, I can't say that. The more fucked up your life is, the less offended you are. What I mean by that is
you're right.
Words at the end of the day don't mean shit. Number one. Number two, freedom of speech is a real fucking thing. And number three, get over it. And go ahead.
No, that's the thing, is exactly what you just said, is the people who are offended have nothing better to do.
They're bored.
And they've been insulated their whole life against this. Listen, I grew up Italian. Yeah. Someone calls me a Dago or a Wop or whatever, I don't give a flying shit about it. It's not going to offend me.
Dude, well, I think one of the words you were talking about, Justin, is we grew up with two words that were used on a regular basis, and I'm going to say the two words.
You say one, I'll say the other.
There are two words that we use on a regular basis that when we said them didn't mean what they mean when people say them out of hate nowadays.
Right.
One is we'd call our friends a faggot.
Yes. Or the other one's a retard.
And the other one was retard. Right. I was going to say that same thing.
And you know what?
Faggot meant that your friend didn't want to come out and ride bikes with you.
Yeah.
Right.
You're like, hey, Timmy, let's go ride bikes. Nah, I don't feel like it. Come on, don't be a faggot.
Yeah.
Right.
It had nothing to do with sexual orientation
whatsoever. No one had any idea.
It was more of being a wimp.
Or not.
Right, exactly.
Right. It was just being a wimp.
Or cared.
And you know what? There is a clip of Doug Stanhope, speaking of Doug, and he does a great job of describing how, hey, first it was, like literally on the IQ scale, it used to say moron. It used to say dull, right? And then all of a sudden they were saying, hey, that's offensive way back. We can't call people. So people started calling people who weren't that smart a moron. Then it was, well, they're mentally retarded. In other words, retarded means not fully developed. If you look up retarded, it means
it's
not
a real
fully.
word.
Yeah, it means not fully developed.
Right.
And so all of a sudden you started calling people that. Now that's not right. Then it was, developmentally disabled. In 20 years, if you call someone developmentally disabled, that could end up being something that offends other people.
Still in the automobile business, still to this day, if the timing of your car is slower than it should be, the timing is retarded.
Yeah.
That is still the proper technical term
God
for
for-
your car if the timing is slower than it should be.
Right.
God forbid the Polish are ever able to cancel culture.
Yeah.
Because
Once
honestly,
they figure it out, we're screwed.
honestly, I'm
That's a
just
joke
saying,
right there.
Yeah.
that's a good one too. But
That's good.
The point is, it's like, and it's funny. Those two words you just said, I never said, pointed at anyone that now would be offended as it was intended to.
Exactly.
Right. Never
And it was-
said
it
it
was
out
just
of
was
hate
never a
either.
thing.
I
And
never said
so
it out of hate.
South Park did it. South Park actually did a fucking great one. They did they called guys that rev their motorcycles too loud in neighborhoods fags.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, that's a fact. They were like, but he's gay. And they're like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like, it's so,
Yeah.
but anyway, I mean, the joke that you're talking about, I'd actually like to hear it.
Now,
Okay, fair.
It's not the rape whistle one.
that's one.
That's another one that you've
the,
already had.
well, the other
Which
one
I think is
actually
funny.
the joke that got into my head was a very simple joke. It was when my
Aren't they all?
it was based on a true story when my
and
daughter.
that's the thing about comedy. We base it on true stories. It's real shit that's happened.
my youngest daughter, who became a sports fan, her and I used to watch baseball, football games together, and I don't remember if it was Viagra or Cialis commercial comes on, and all of a sudden she's asking me what an erection is,
Oh, that one? Really?
and
Because of Asian hate?
and at the time at what really happened in real life is I told her go ask her mother, but on stage I would say, that's when they pick a new president in China.
Ooh, I like that.
That's what an erection is. And then I would follow it up with, I thought I got away with it until the next day. I got a phone call from her social studies teacher. And let's just say Mrs. Chang did not find it as funny as you guys did. And
I think it's funny.
And she actually did have a social studies teacher named Mrs. Chang. That actually is true as well. And, because there's Asian hate going on and all this other stuff.
And that's the thing. It's not done out of hate.
But my daughter's point was, you're making fun of their accent and you're not part of that culture. So you can't make that joke.
But here's the sad thing. If Joe Wong did the same fucking joke,
because
it would be
because he's
acceptable.
part of that culture.
Right, exactly.
And also, but Scott, this is my thing. This is what drives me crazy. If you made fun of an Asian because of the way they look, that's fucked up.
Absolutely.
Right.
But if you make fun of an accent, I mean, shit, in the United States alone, listen to the way the Ace talks.
Well, we make fun of it. Yeah,
I didn't
exactly.
know where the fuck he was from. I knew he was not from anywhere educated.
Hey, North Providence is very fucking educated. Yeah,
Hey,
no, exactly. It's
This guy's
exactly the
fucking
same thing.
smart. He's wicked fucking smart.
I know he is. He's a great guy, and I'm fucking around. But that's my point.
But true,
An
I'm
accent
not
doesn't mean
offended by
shit.
that. It's an accent, right?
But if you're talking to people under 30, they have a different opinion.
Right. And
Well,
that's
most
why
people
people
under
under
30
30.
And I'm not
but
saying I'm
that's
trying
why-
to appeal to those people.
That's why
Yeah.
people under 30 don't go to comedy clubs, because they're fucking offended by everything.
but when I'm on stage now, as I'm getting to the point where I would tell that joke,
Yep.
it pops into my head.
Yeah, but you know
and
what
the
you should
problem
do?
is Ace is right. If you're telling a joke and you don't have the confidence behind it,
They smell fear.
the crowd smells the fear,
And that's
it's-
why, you know
you're not
what?
going to get the laugh from that joke.
You should tell the audience to lighten the fuck up and have some up and down.
The Colonel's cut.
The Colonel's cut.
How do you guys like it?
18 proof. I like it.
I'll tell you, last Sunday, watching the AFC and NFC championship, my oldest daughter, the same one who I had this conversation with, her and I were drinking this, watching both games, and she was like, "This is really good."
And then it went south.
because she's a bourbon drinker as well.
And then it went
a whiskey
south
drinker.
as soon as he turned to her and said, "I love this."
Well, I was going to say then it went south when she looked at him and said, "I know what an erection is now."
Yeah, exactly.
I said to her, "I love this whiskey.
Love this whiskey.
This a great bourbon.
All of a sudden, we're Mr. Miyagi.
It's very, very delicious, Daniel-san."
You're going to get me canceled.
We're
Listen,
gonna get canceled.
I wanted to obviously transition into how you came up with the concept to mass produce this and where it came from, because I read the story on your website.
I did too.
Because of this.
Because I can read, Justin. I can read.
Are you drinking the OG tonight?
No, I'm drinking the pumpkin mash.
The pumpkin mash.
See, we're gonna get that for Scottober next year.
Oh, it's fucking delicious. It's really good.
It's
bullshit like sweet garbage whiskey. It's good stuff.
Now let me ask you this, Justin. Do you like paranormal investigations and that type of stuff? Are you into that at all?
Are you fucking with me right now? Is this like some kind of weird trick going on?
No, it's an honest question. Do you watch any shows like Ghost Hunters or Ghost Nation or anything?
So haunted shit fucks me up. I sort of believe in it. I sort of don't.
The reason I asked before you get into your explanation is I hate the shit out of it. It scares the shit out of me.
Okay.
So I, being the
Ace
great partner
loves
that I am,
He loves it. He's so interested in it. A couple of years ago, we invited a friend of ours who's a comedian, Tom Stewart, who also used to be a paranormal investigator in October. Yeah. And we discussed some of his paranormal investigations, played some of the evidence he had. Yeah. And we discussed it. And it was the least talking I've ever done in my entire life. And Ace thought it was hilarious. So every year we had Tom back. Well, this year, as a special treat, Ace booked the whole month of October with guests in that realm.
Oh, that's fucking cool.
And we called it Scottober.
One of our listeners nicknamed it Scottober. And our first guest of the month was Jason Hawes from Ghost Nation and Ghost Hunters.
Yeah.
And then we actually had, this was my favorite, David Naughton, who was the star of American Werewolf in London, if you remember that movie.
Who doesn't?
Yes, thank you. A great movie.
Fucking awesome.
Then we had Jason's daughter and her boyfriend who have haunted artifacts, and they have a paranormal
museum.
Yes.
And they brought haunted artifacts which I'm still fucking mad at him about. Because they had a doll and showed me a video of this doll moving in the museum at 2 a.m.
Yes.
No bullshit. No bullshit. And then we even make it up.
And then we rounded the month out with another paranormal investigator who now has pretty much promised us that he can get us into the Payne House, which is a mile down the street from me, but a very haunted location, and the Conjuring House. He's going to get us in the real Conjuring house.
The actual house that sponsored the Conjuring movie.
So
that's why I asked you if you're into it, because we did have some pretty amazing episodes about
it was awesome.
Paranormal stuff. Don't get me wrong. But
the restaurant I work at is the Marlboro Tavern. Okay?
Right, which is like the oldest tavern in the country, isn't it?
One of them. It was built in the 1740s.
Yeah, White Horse Tavern in Newport is the oldest continuous running tavern.
Okay.
Yeah,
but their beer sucks. I don't know. I'm just fucking around. But do they have running water? So
until they start carrying up and down Colonel's Cut, right?
Then there'll be
if they carry up and down.
Listen, I'll be in Newport this weekend. I'll go and sell for you. All right.
Oh, listen, I'll give you a bottle. But listen, but the tavern that I work at, just to quickly kind of tie it into what you're talking about.
Yes.
1740s it was built. Okay. Yep. I grew up ghost fucking central. Okay. But as an adult, I have a hard time believing in scientifically going. It doesn't make any fucking sense to me, but I still believe in ghosts kind of, but I'm like, as a man, there's no ghost.
Right.
So I'm in this tavern from 1740s. I was where I worked. Now I'm the last guy to leave. And the lights at the place are at the end of the hall. So I got to shut the lights off, and then I got to walk down the hall after I shut the lights off. This long fucking hallway. Okay. Not a big deal.
This is
as an adult, man. So every night I grab myself some food to take home with me because I work in a restaurant. So I want to get some fucking takeout. So I get my takeout, put it on my counter, do my shit, shut the lights off, walk down the hall and leave. So one night I get my takeout, I shut the lights off and I start walking down the hall. And as I'm walking down the hall, the lights are off in this 1740 tavern. The hair in the back of my neck stands up like somebody's like walking with me behind me. And I'm like, it's fucking weird. It's not comfortable. I get to the end of the door and I'm about to set the alarm and I look and I go, fuck, I left my food in the kitchen, which means I had to walk all the way back down that fucking back doorway and get my food. And I said, I'll get it tomorrow. I set the light. I'm not saying I believe in ghosts, but I'm saying I believe in ghosts.
Something felt weird. Yeah.
Something felt weird. Weird shit happens, man. I can't explain it, but the guests that you had sounds awesome. Everything you just described as a month sounds amazing and fun.
I will say this. Do you know how many of them talked about being on investigations and getting that feeling that you just said you had where they're in a room and the hair on the back of their neck stands up, or the hair on their arm stands up, and they just get this feeling like we're not wanted in this room right
It's
now.
electromagnetic energy.
Why was their wife in there? But
hey,
also,
my wife was. I tell you. Hey, Dr. Vinny Boom Butts. Hey.
But I think if you believe in it, though, I think because there's people out there that are fucking stone cold and awesome. They're like, they're like, I don't believe in that shit, and they won't feel a goddamn thing. I think they're serial killers. But my point is, there's people that have no empathy whatsoever, and they don't have that juice, that connection. I don't know if it's people that partially believe or accept a little bit.
There have been people that you describe that don't believe at all, that have been put in investigations, and by the end of the night, they're like, I don't know if I believe in ghosts, but something went on here.
And I don't want to be here right now.
And I don't want to be here because I'm uncomfortable.
Right.
Exactly.
And I will say this about both Jason and our friend Tom Stewart. They go into an investigation thinking that this probably isn't real, and they try to disprove it.
Yeah, they're not going in to find ghosts. They're going in to find answers. And sometimes they don't know what the answer is. Right. And so that's when they're like, it could be paranormal.
Right.
That's cool.
You know,
right. So they're trying to pretty much disprove it. And like Jason said on their show, they had an incident one time where they went into a place that supposedly was haunted, and they found out that the guy rigged the place up.
Yeah.
Just to get on the show.
He put speakers in the ceilings with voices and shit like that.
And he actually
there's a lot of work for that.
Right.
Yeah.
And he aired the show just to show people, that
they
we're
don't just go in believing everything.
We don't just believe everything, and we're going to prove you wrong if you do stupid shit like this.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Type of thing. But he goes in with a little bit of, I don't know if I'm going to believe.
Well, let me ask you this. Did they drink whiskey while they do it like you guys?
Well,
that's what's wrong.
That's
what's wrong.
That's the problem. So let's talk about how you got into the whiskey business.
Yes, that's kind of describe for our listeners,
because I like I said in the beginning, I kind of wrote your bio based on what I learned from you from IMDb, and then what I learned from your website for Up and Down. So what led you to this? Obviously, you said, you've always worked in restaurants, you mixologist, not just a bartender, but a mixologist.
Yeah. How did you come up with the idea for your Colonel's Old Fashioned?
Yeah.
And then parlay it into what you've done now?
So the Colonel's Old Fashioned came about. I opened a restaurant in Hartford called Blind Pig, my concept.
Yep.
And I was super happy about it. And I was walking through my neighborhood. This is when I was somewhat of a pedestrian person. I was kind of married. I wasn't married, but I was, in that like 14-year relationship, looking at tag sales and shit like that. Really weird.
Yeah.
Going to craft fairs and stuff
so
like that.
So odd. It really fucked with me. I've never been married. I'm 46. I've never been married. I don't have any kids, but this is like the closest to it where I was like mowing the lawn going,
long-term relationship.
What am I doing with my life?
Right.
Anyway,
I do
not
that
that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just a weird individual. So I'm walking through my neighborhood and there's a tag sale, and I see this bottle, an empty, weird fucking crystal bottle of Old Forester. And it was the coolest thing I ever fucking saw. And I was like, that's a cool fucking bottle. And I bought it for like 50 cents.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought it back to my bar, and I was like, weird shit inspires me to do weird shit. I don't know. But I was like, I want to make something cool in this fucking bottle.
Yep.
So I started kind of fucking around with some things, and there was some flavor profiles, and one of them was a fig birch old fashioned. And so what I did was I took fig, I took birch, and I took all these flavors and I put it in a barrel, and I kept it in there for about a week, and then I poured it in this old Forester bottle, and I would like say, okay, this is called the I forgot what I called it at the time, but it was like, this is a special drink, and people loved it because they saw it come out of that bottle, they knew it was delicious, and they were like, that's what I want. So they would come in every week just to buy that, and I would serve it until it was gone.
Yeah.
And then when I opened the tavern, I was like, well, I gotta do the same concept, because it's people love it. And when COVID happened, the bar was closed. People couldn't come and sit at the bar anymore. We could sell drinks to go. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'm going to sell this Colonel's Cut to go. Not the Colonel's Cut, the Colonel's Old Fashioned, we called it. And I'm like, I'm going to sell it to go because people love it and I need to make money. So I was putting in 1 liter bottles and thinking to myself, no one's going to buy it, but at least I can try. I had a fucking waiting list. Like, people were calling me, and I was like, I can't keep up. I can't keep up with it. It takes me 2 weeks to make, and blah blah blah. Right. So I got to figure out how to do this on a bigger scale. And I said, fuck it. I mean, like you said, I opened up for Doug Stanhope in front of where people I couldn't see. I made a movie. I was in a band. I can't sing. I kind of like don't care enough to see if people say, oh, you're gonna fail. So
no, you're willing to take the risk, right?
I'm jumping in the water because I'm most likely I can at least swim to fucking save my life. I'm not gonna die, so I'm like, let's try it out. If it works, it's great. If it doesn't, so what? So I tried it out. I found a co-packer. I went through the process and I was like, how do we make this work? And I finally found somebody that we worked together, and we come up with a formula, and they said it's gonna cost this much, and I said, okay, I don't have that much, but I'll fucking figure it out. Right. And I figured it out, and we bought a goddamn lot of bourbon, which is super cool to see FedEx drop off 7 barrels of bourbon at your door.
Are you able to? I mean, what brand? And if you can't share it, it's a secret. Sure. Like, was it a specific brand of bourbon that you went for, or was it an unknown brand that you would kind of bring along with you to kind of build a brand? Or
so it wasn't a brand necessarily as a mash bill. So it wasn't who makes the whiskey. It was the flavor profile of the whiskey. Okay. And the whiskey we went with was MGP. Now, MGP makes bourbon for Angel's Envy, Bullet. You know, a lot of the bourbon you drink.
One of our faves. Yeah.
Yeah. They've been making bourbon for 100 years. Right. Now it's funny because now a lot of people are trying to start making bourbon, which is great. But these guys fucking perfected it. Or like they make the best bourbon. It's like they've done it.
We drink Angel's Envy. Angel's Envy is one of our favorites. Yeah.
So Don Henderson, who owns Angel's Envy, is one of the coolest fucking guys you'll ever meet in your entire life. I do a podcast, or he did a podcast called the Zero's Journey podcast.
Right.
And it was about the restaurant world and whiskey and stuff. And we did a bourbon episode, and we talked to him, and he was a pilot. You talk about Renaissance guys. He was a coroner. He made Angel's Envy. His dad created Gentleman Jack.
Right. Wow.
Coolest fucking family in the world. But the point is, we found a bourbon that was just spot on. The mash bill was perfect. And so it wasn't necessarily the brand. It was just like, how does it hold on to the flavors that we want?
Yep.
And the barrels that we picked are all alligator barrels, which means they char the sides to a 4 char.
Number 4,
it's the longest char that you can get.
That's what, 55 seconds of 55 the char?
Seconds. Yeah. Yep. And it's got 4. That alligator on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. It just kind of gives it that little nastier flavor, and it's a high rye, so it adds the spice. But the thing is, it's also there's a little bit of malted barley in there, which holds on to the orange. So, in other words, the point is, the whiskey that we got was perfect for the flavors that we wanted to do.
Right.
If that makes any sense. And MGP, like I said, they're good at it. They're really good at it.
Right.
So,
wow, man, you can tell as you're describing this, kind of your passion for the research you did,
right,
for the bourbon you selected, for what you were putting together. you
Yeah.
know, which makes the difference in the end product, because you didn't just say, all right, we'll take that one and mix it together. You did your research
Yeah.
and got
What
the
was
best
going to
product
be
you
the best
could
one, right?
to mix with the fig and everything else to create the flavor that you wanted to create, and you can taste it in the end product.
Yeah.
Well, if I just took a whiskey, like any whiskey, any bourbon, anything, and just put it on there and just to get the product out, I'm kind of an asshole. And
Exactly.
You're rushing.
I'm
it.
just trying to sell it to you. Like I'm just trying to
Right.
sell you something.
Right.
And that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build something that's real. And
That's not your personality.
you have to build a foundation of, like I always say, the guys I work with are like, oh, we should do fucking this and this and this. And I said, you can't decorate a house until you build a foundation.
Right.
So let's make sure we have something fucking solid first. Make sure we have something real and good and people trust us. Because if nobody trusts you, and you know this on stage, it's the same exact thing. If nobody trusts you where your joke's going to go,
Right.
you've lost them. So if I make a shitty whiskey with like, if I make my formula, but with a shitty whiskey,
Right.
I've already lost you.
Right.
No,
Right?
you absolutely, because I tried your original, the OG as you call it, and if that wasn't good, I wouldn't have taken the time last week to drive out to East Hartford to pick up
To get
2
this.
bottles of the Colonel's Cut.
Right.
You
Right.
know, to have one at home, one here in the studio.
Right.
I wouldn't have done that because I would be like, all right, it's okay, but it's you know,
you would have felt fleeced, disrespected.
you know, and we're not gonna. And we've always talked about this. We're not gonna drink bourbon on this show or talk about bourbon on this show that we don't like,
Right.
or that we don't think
what's
is
your go-to?
good.
What's your top 3? I'm just curious. Like
I would say
don't think-
Angel's Envy is you know, and it's hard to say. I can't say what's number 1, 2, or 3. Or
no, just top
anything
3.
like
Not
that.
order.
But the top
I would
three,
say
yeah.
Jefferson's Reserve is one of my favorites.
Even
Nice.
the very small batch, though. That's the
the
thing
very
with
small batch
Jefferson.
is good, but I Jefferson's Reserve
is
is
Ocean.
very good.
Ocean.
Ocean is it, but you know what? Lately, Ocean has been hit or miss.
Really.
I think Ocean is got a great name, but it's, you know, I think the name kind of exceeds the expectation with it. I think Reserve actually outdoes Ocean personally.
Okay.
For me,
Yeah.
Angel's Envy, Reserve. I don't know what would be number 3. Those are my 2 definite go-tos. We actually tried Pappy Van Winkle one night. We were Ace is a member at a cigar bar here in Rhode Island, and we were there celebrating when we had a big download month.
Those are always good for finding good bourbon.
I think it was.
Cigar
Yeah.
bars.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, this
I
place
think
had
it was
an
our-
incredible selection.
I think it was our 100th episode, or it was like a special occasion.
Yeah, we had a
so-
special occasion. We recorded. We went there afterwards. We were having a cigar,
Nice.
and we noticed that they had, you know, all, 3 different Pappy. They had old Rip Van Winkle, Pappy Van Winkle, and when they told us the prices, we went with the 10-year because we couldn't afford the.
Yeah, because it was like 55 a 1 ounce pour.
It
or
was
something
$55
stupid like that.
for a 2-ounce pour of the 10-year.
Yeah.
So we said, all right, it's worth trying, and it was very good. I'm not gonna lie, it was very good.
It was good, but
That-
you know
right
what?
after that, we had an Angel's Envy, and we're sitting there sipping the Angel's Envy, and I was like, I tell you what, I don't know that the old Rip Van Winkle 10-year is $55 better than
the Angel's
than
Envy
the
that we're
Angel's Envy
drinking right
was.
now. Yeah.
it was good. I would definitely drink it again.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't go out of my way because I
No.
don't know that it's that much better.
Well, you know what it is. It's like okay, let's pretend you like a fucking chicken parmesan. You love chicken parmesan. It tastes good. Chicken parmesan's been around for a long time for a reason, right?
Right.
But nobody can seem to get their hands on a redheaded sloth parmesan.
Right.
It's just fucking not around. And all of a sudden one comes up and you're like, oh shit, I'm going to get one.
Exactly it. It's
And you try it.
supply-
And you know what? It's pretty good. Never fucking heard of it, but you can't get it. But the chicken parmesan's fucking great. So it's like, why? And
It's
I'm not.
supply and demand. It's exactly what you're
It's
saying
not
because
around,
the
no.
supply
Yeah.
is so scarce with Pappy Van
And they've
Winkle.
created such a
buzz.
mystique about it.
Well,
that-
listen, if you can't get something, you fucking want it. And
Of course.
I have no problem. Listen, I've tried all the Pappies. I think they're you're right. They're good. They're
They're very
great
good.
They're great. Yeah.
They're
Nothing
very-
wrong with them whatsoever. But I mean, you take E.H. Taylor, you would take Michter's Sour Mash, which is fucking beautiful.
Never had a Michter.
Whiskeys that cost you $15. Angel's Envy, $16, $17. Blanton's. I mean, it's fine.
Right.
Blanton's used to be my go-to. My go-to. I used to pick it up. There's up in Massachusetts at Wegmans Supermarket for $39.95 a bottle, and now most places it's $90 a bottle or more.
Yeah,
now they're overcharging. Like,
exactly.
Now they've gotten. But Blanton's was one of my all-time favorites. I don't list them because I've had it in a while because it's so overpriced now. It's just not worth buying anymore. But I was a huge Blanton's fan. I loved Blanton's. I have all of the tops, by the way. I have all of them. So
I'm still trying to think of the third one that we've drank even on the show. Like we've had Jefferson's. We usually go to Angel's Envy, Jefferson's. We've tried some other ones, like what's the one we call Old Elk.
We tried Old Elk. It's out of Colorado. It's a bourbon out of Colorado.
I call it the Old Spice of whiskeys.
It's the Old Spice of whiskey. You pick it up at
little hair.
Yeah, exactly. It's like high karate. You get it every Christmas. Type of thing.
But I'm trying to think of some of the other ones that we've tried that we really liked. But I honestly, I don't know.
Outside of bourbons, I've really enjoyed Redbreast.
Redbreast, yes.
Irish whiskey.
Redbreast
is I find that really good.
I did try.
It tastes very similar to a bourbon for an Irish whiskey.
It's aged for 12 years.
Right, exactly.
It's got some wood to it, so it's nice.
Yeah,
right. It's got a nice flavor to it. I have that at home.
What is Middleton? Is that a Scotch or a bourbon?
Middleton's an Irish whiskey. I actually have it.
I've tried that. I've tried that. That was good.
And we've had Balvenie. Every time the double wooded Balvenie.
That's the number 3 Balvenie.
Guys, if I could give you a tour of my fucking apartment, you would fucking probably make babies in your pants.
That sounds.
I got the Middleton XL, all these the Redbreast 15, all these things you're talking about. I'm like. Anyway,
all right. You sound like Buffalo. You
know
sound
what?
like Buffalo Bill.
You know what?
Come to my apartment.
She a great big fat person.
She a great big fat person.
You about a size 14.
You know what I think we need to do?
I
think we need to do a remote episode
at
the Marlboro Tavern.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you guys are all, listen, you guys are absolutely 100%.
That'd be awesome.
We need to go out to the tavern one night, record there.
Yeah,
we
need to get a Connecticut comic.
Get a Connecticut comic to meet us there. We could have Justin, you could
absolutely
pop on for a little while.
Yeah, I'd love to hang out with us.
I would love to do that. We haven't done a remote episode in a while.
I got some good whiskey at my apartment, but over there, I got some really good fucking whiskey. I got we just crushed on a bunch of, like, I had the E.H. Taylor
E.H. Taylor's very good.
I have there's a lot of good whiskey over there. So you guys are more than welcome to come drink over there.
The other thing we've talked about is doing like a week trip through the Bourbon Trail between Tennessee and Kentucky.
Have you guys done the Kentucky Trail?
We haven't yet.
We want to
do that.
And we want to do podcasts as we're going through.
First of all, that's fucking brilliant, the podcast thing. Yeah. But it's such a good goddamn time. Such a good time.
We got one of these years we're gonna do that.
That's definitely
you know what?
something.
We should line up some like Tennessee and Kentucky comics to be on. You know what I mean?
There, do some tastings, do some recordings.
That sounds like a hell of a vacation.
So,
and you know what? We need a professional guide, so we'll have to bring Justin along.
You might have to take some time off from work and go with us and guide us through.
Listen, I've had to do worse things.
Yeah, you can think of worse things, right?
Oh man, Justin, this was great. I love that we finally had a chance to have you on. I haven't seen you in forever, man. This was
good to talk to you, man.
Yeah, you as well, and congratulations on the bourbon. It's great stuff.
It really is.
I wouldn't say it if it wasn't, and I really am enjoying it. To all of our fans, again, go to SavorUp.com and check out where you can pick up some of this bourbon. All of it is great. You're not going to go wrong. If you want the Colonel's Cut, though, you got to pick that up at the distillery right now. That's the only place you can get it, but it is worth the trip. You got to pick up at least 2 bottles because once you taste it, the first bottle goes fast. Trust me. I learned that the hard way.
This one's going down pretty fast.
And yeah,
tonight.
this one's going down fast tonight, as I told you.
118. Careful, guys.
Listen, I'm only in my basement. He's the one that's got to go home. So.
That's fair.
Oh
That's
no,
fair.
my liver is like black tar at this point.
I know.
Oh, good.
So,
Good.
yeah, I'm good to go.
There's
But
something to look forward
But definitely check out that website. There's they have a list of liquor stores you can pick it up at, restaurants you can try it at, and obviously Marlboro Tavern if you're in Connecticut is Justin's restaurant where you can check it out there, as well as some of the great menu items that they have there as well. So,
well, listen, Justin, thank you. No, go ahead.
I just wanted to thank you. I mean, I had a blast. It was Scott. It was great catching up with you, man.
Absolutely.
Again, I remember watching you when I was a lot younger, and I was a lot younger, and I'm a lot younger than you, but you were younger too. You had like a full head. You were like a hippie almost. Almost.
I wish that was true.
He had a full head
I
of hair.
so wish that was true.
Right.
But I'll tell you,
I was balding by the time I was 30.
well,
awesome.
there was about 6 or 7 strands I'll never forget, and they
that's right.
wore them well.
Thank you, my
It
friend.
was a breeze through here, but it was honestly, it was always a pleasure to watch you, and
I appreciate
you
that.
always made everybody laugh. You made everybody in the room feel good. And a shout out to our friend Jay Sute.
We love
dude,
Jay.
thank you for saying that.
You know what? A couple of memories came up this past week, and I just
Yeah.
couldn't bring myself to post them because I just fucking miss that guy so much.
Jay was such a great guy, and we did a tribute episode to Jay. Unfortunately,
Right
when
after
he passed,
Yeah.
and so many comics came out and told some great
Wow.
stories about Jay, and what a genuine guy he was. I mean, he was a funny guy on stage, but he was
Fucking
just
love
such a good dude.
It's
man.
been 2
He was
years
just
already,
such
right?
a good dude.
Wasn't
yeah.
it 2 years? April. April.
It's
it'll
coming
be
up
2
coming
years.
up on 2 years.
He was a
that's
good
ridiculous.
human being.
Yes, exactly.
And I always associate you in that field, that world. For me, there's a lot of comics and Max Tocelli, guys like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's an old fucker, but I love him to death.
Max is great.
Yeah,
He
Max
still
is
tells
on a cruise
VCR
ship right
jokes to fucking 19-year-olds.
Yeah, right.
Hilarious. But anyway, I wanted to say thank you guys for having me, because it was great to talk to you, Scott. Again, Ace, you're a good dude, man. It was
man.
cool to meet you, and it means a lot to me that you guys are even looking at my stuff, because who the fuck am I? But thank you for that. And listen, anytime you guys want to bullshit or come to the tavern or drink whiskey or talk about ghosts.
No, absolutely. We will.
We're all in, Justin. We'll
the-
definitely set something up to come out to the
There's-
tavern.
The next Connecticut comic that we book, we're going to be like, hey, we're going to do it live, but we're going to do it at this restaurant.
We're
know
going to
where it
meet you
is?
at the Marlboro Tavern.
Exactly.
great. Always
Definitely.
welcome. Always
Thank you,
welcome.
man.
Thanks,
Oh,
man.
Cheers.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
And that was Justin Michael Morales.
Yes.
actually.
Yeah. Great
Yes.
guy. Great guy. I remember him fondly. He's done. You know what? When you came up with the idea to say Renaissance man, that was a perfect
Isn't
description
it
of him.
true? Like as I was
Filmmaker.
reading through his stuff, I'm
I
like,
didn't realize
this
till
guy is a
tonight, though.
Renaissance man. Everything that he's done.
Right. I didn't realize till tonight that he only tried comedy as part of the documentary.
Yeah,
I thought he was really trying comedy because he was interested in
in
comedy, which he was,
Right.
but it was more for the documentary than
and you know
than
what? We
anything
should have
else.
asked him what the documentary name was, and if there's any way to get it now, because
Right.
I'd love to watch that.
right. But I will include a link to the Bourbon website in the show notes. So definitely check that out. A lot of you guys know we talk about bourbon every week, and it's basically an old fashioned in a bottle.
Oh, it's
Just pour it over ice.
very strong but delicious.
Let it chill. If you get the original Up and Down Rockin' Bourbon, it is not quite as strong as the Colonel's Cut, which we're drinking tonight, but it's delicious nonetheless. So
That's awesome.
thank you so much for
Hey.
tuning in tonight, folks.
And we were talking about it before the show. We don't want to ignore our folks that are watching online. So, we want to read the comments of
Yes.
people that are watching online, especially our super fans, that do listen and watch every week. But we also want to make it so that it's a continuous conversation with our guests. So what we decided to do was, you'll notice moving forward, we're gonna talk to the guests throughout the show, but then we'll address the the comments after we let the guests go. So
Yeah, and if I can, before you jump in,
Go ahead.
one of the comments, Jen said, Ace, I think Scott should babysit a haunted item for 24 hours.
Thank you, Jen. I
Jen,
love you.
I absolutely
Yes.
love you to death, but go fuck yourself. Seriously.
That's awesome.
I am not going to babysit anything for 24 hours.
But Jen had some good things when we were talking about work, Blockbuster. She said, be kind, rewind. If you're old enough, you know what that means.
Yes.
Solient Green 420. I believe in you, Justin. Solient Green must be from Rhode Island because he goes, feck off. We is wicked smart. That was when Justin was saying my accent made me sound stupid, which is fine. That's fine.
But Solient Green, I'm a blasphemer of whiskey culture. Ban me now. I don't quite know what you mean by that, but
I know. And that was a later comment. Jen, that would be great for Scottober. I got a haunted typewriter. I'll sell it real cheap.
Yeah, you can keep that shit, Solient Green.
Solient Green said total skeptic. They also said Imperial American blend, super cheap and not too bad. So we'll have to try that one.
All right.
Imperial American blend. We'll look at that.
Definitely. We love when people suggest new stuff for us to try.
Absolutely. Any comments on Facebook that you saw? I know our friend Kayla Lima was on. And our friend Karen Bissett Diorio was on. She said, great show, guys. Thank you so much. Our buddy Bobby Berjol was watching for a little while. Terry McEnany. Listen, folks, a lot of great things happening. If you are listening from Rhode Island, there is some great new things happening in Rhode Island. We're not going to make an official announcement until it's official. Let's just say
within the next few weeks, some big things coming out of Rhode Island for the comedy community.
Yeah, the Rhode Island comedy scene is growing, and I don't know how else to say it.
You can't say much more than that.
There's some great things happening that are going to recognize the forefathers of our comedy scene. And let's just say that the old joke of the Rhode Island Comedy Hall of Fame, it's not so much a hall as a website. That's going to be changing very soon. So
that's going to change. Ace's plaque is actually going to have a place instead of a website.
First of all, I'm actually going to have a plaque because they only started doing plaques this year. But yes, there is going to be a plaque and there is going to be a place.
My co-host, who is in the Rhode Island Comedy Hall of Fame, is actually going to have a Hall of Fame.
And you know what? I was talking to John Parada, who's also in the Hall of Fame, and he was like a little kid. He was like, brother, it's going to be awesome. Like, I'm going to be dead in 20 years and my grandkids are going to be able to watch look and find a place to find me and learn about me.
And good for John.
And I love it. And it wasn't until he said that I really realized just how powerful this new announcement is going to be. So I'm really excited about it.
And, for John to say something like that is so sincere. And he he means that, and good for him. Good for him, because we've said it 1,001 times that John has done so much for comedians in Rhode Island and Southern New England,
and that's why he's in the Hall of Fame, and that's exactly what it's going to be. So it's going to be awesome. We're going to have a big announcement. Maybe in a couple of weeks we'll just do a special big announcement about it, and we'll have the person who's bringing all of this, to the forefront on as, maybe a quick 15-minute little,
have them come on and tell you what's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but other than that, listen, folks, we really appreciate you listening every week. We appreciate the downloads. We appreciate the views. If you aren't, if you're around on a Wednesday night between 8:30 and 9:30, check us out. We're on Drinks, Jokes, and Storytelling on twitch.tv. If not, if you're on Facebook, we've got the Behind the Funny page. Go to find Behind the Funny page, subscribe to it, like it, and you'll be able to watch it there. And if you're not able to watch us, just please keep downloading. We really appreciate it. Tell a friend about us. Give us a 5-star written review. Anything that helps with the algorithms. There are over 100,000 podcasts. and we are in the top 20%.
Top 20%
Of downloads.
podcasts right now.
Yeah.
So we want to keep moving our way up. And the way you guys can help us is by giving us that 5-star review.
Yeah, it just helps more people discover.
Right, exactly. That helps us move up in those charts. So if you can take the time to do that, wherever you download your podcast, 5 stars, quick sentence, it costs you nothing but 30 seconds of time, but it makes the world of difference for us.
Absolutely. And so listen, folks, next week we have Mr. Eddie Brill. And if you're not aware of who Eddie Brill is, he started in Boston. He went to New York, and he eventually became the warm-up comic and booker for the David Letterman show before David Letterman went off the air. So excited. I got to work with this guy a bunch of times when I was first starting out, and we're so excited to have him on. So tune in next week to listen to Eddie Brill and hear about all of his experience between just being a comic and then also being a warm-up comic and a booker for the Letterman show.
Yeah, for a legend like David Letterman. That'll be an amazing discussion.
It's going to be so much fun. So listen, thank you guys for listening, for downloading, for sharing it, for telling a friend. And other than that, we will talk to you
next week.